Hello and welcome to this lecture where we would be exploring how to use group policy to deploy a company desktop background. In the previous video, we explored all that there is to know about the group policy editor and some of the settings and configurations that you're likely to be doing. But it's about time we actually created some of the policies ourselves and test them and see how it works so that you can have the hands-on approach to being a system administrator, and it will give you some information on how to go about demonstrating confidence when it comes to answering questions to do with interview questions. Now, we want to configure a group policy that would affect people in the sales OU, and then we want their desktop background to change to a specific designed company background, for instance. So to do that, we are going to start with making sure that we have the file, the document file. To have the document file, you need to have the document file in a network path. It needs to be saved on a network. So to do that, we would go to our file explorer, go to this PC, and we'll go to our local, and we would use this path. So create a new folder here called company desktop background. Yeah, something like that. Company desktop background. No, company desktop. I'll leave it like that. And then we need to put the contents of this folder, which should have the wallpaper. I have the wallpaper in, I'm just going to pin this to quick access so I can go back here and I'll pick it from here. So I have the JPEG file. I'm just going to copy this and I'll paste it here. Now we need to grant access to this share. So go to properties, we'll go to sharing, go to advanced sharing, and we'll share this folder, and we'll double check the permissions to see if there's a read yet. It's a read for everyone. Okay, click OK, and then we would copy this path. So this is the path to the folder. So we'll copy this and then we'll close. So now we have a location that stores the wallpaper, and then we can use this to configure the group policy. So I'm just going to close this, and to get to my group policy manager, I'll go to my server manager and I'll go to tools and I'll go to group policy manager. Now in the previous video, when I was exploring how to create group policies, we made an example of creating the sales and marketing department group policy, but I had removed it just to explain some best practices. I wanted to use this opportunity to explain best practices. Normally all group policies would exist in this sort of container. We only have these two at the moment. So you normally would create all the custom policies that you'd want to deploy here, and then you link them to whatever OU you want to link them to. So I'm going to go to the generic group policy container, click on new, and this is a new group policy object. I would call it company desktop domain policy. Now click OK. And in this policy, we would double click the policy. We'll right click and go to edit. And then we want it to only apply when it comes to a user level. So we'll go to user configuration and we'll go to Windows settings. Sorry, administrative templates. I'll expand this a bit. Go to desktop and go to desktop. Yeah, and we have the desktop wallpaper here. So I'll double click this and then we'll enable this, and then we'll paste the path that we have here. But this is only taking us to the folder. We need to specifically call out the name of the folder. I think it's called company desktop background, and it is a .jpeg file. And then we'll click apply, and then we'll click OK. So now the policy has been configured specifically to set that desktop wallpaper to that file in that folder. So I'm going to close the editor. And now that this is created, we need to link it to the sales department. So I'm just going to copy this, right click on the policy, and then we'll go to the sales and marketing department OU, and then we'll link an existing GPO, and then we'll choose company desktop domain policy and click OK. So now it's linked, and we just need to double check to make sure that it is enabled. It is enabled. So we'll close this, and then now we need to go to our Windows machine, which is this one for instance, and log in as John because John is in the sales OU. And I'm just going to double check that. John is in the sales OU. Yep, John Farrell. Come out of that. And I would go back to our Windows machine. So after you set up a policy, you'll be hoping that immediately it should go onto the computer. But it doesn't work like that. You'd have to update the group policy settings on whatever computer or whatever target device or object is in the network. And to do that, you can go to your CMD on the user's profile while you're logged into that machine, and you type in the command gp update /force, and we'll hit return, and that should update the policy. Computer policy has completed successfully, and the user policy has completed successfully. Now all we need to do is to log off, and sign back in again. Okay, so the wallpaper has changed, but you realize that it looks enlarged. So probably when we were setting up the group policy, we didn't specify how the picture should be manifested. So we'll go back to the policy, and I'll go to tools, I'll go to policy management, and we'll go and edit the policy, and then we'll go back to policies, administrative, desktop wallpaper. Aha, so wallpaper style, it's by default as center, so we'll change it to say fit, and then apply. Okay, we'll close this, and I'll leave this open. I'll go back to Fergo's account. I'll go back to CMD, and then we'll do another GP update /force. Hit return. So this is one of the reasons why you need to, whenever you're deploying group policies, you need to test it in a test OU before you finally deploy to the environment. So assuming you didn't do any testing and then you deployed it, this is how it's going to look on everyone's machine. And it's going to be a nightmare. So I'm just going to log off now. And then we'll log back in. Voila, that makes sense. So this is the company wallpaper. You can see the company brand. So whoever is in the OU as a sales and marketing person would have the same wallpaper. So for instance, if we sign in into another user who is also in the sales and marketing OU, who is, I think her name is Tracy Milan. Is it Tracy.Milan, is it? Go back to Active Directory. Tracy.Milan, okay. So go to other user. Maybe go to other user. Type in Tracy.Milan and her password. Log in as Tracy. And hopefully her wallpaper should also change because she's in that OU. Yeah. So that's how you deploy a company desktop logo. You need to set up the network share first, put the file in that share, make sure that it's shared with everyone, and then you would go and create the policy. Now, it's best practice to create custom policies for every use case. It's not a best practice to use one policy to put in all the configurations, because when that happens, when something goes wrong, that whole configuration is in the bin. So it's best practice to have the policies created in such a way that they are custom one by one and then they are linked into this respective OUs. So I'll see you in the next video where we would be deploying software. Thanks.